But Sarah, tell me a little bit about your school.
So we are completely different. We are one form entry, just over 200 children. We are just on the North Kent coast. We are incredibly lucky with our space. We've got a field and we've got a really large playground, so we're not a concrete jungle, but we still weren't using it in a way that actually promoted play. Space doesn't mean play, I think is what we've realised. So again, we've been on our OPAL journey since September, although you and I met back in March last year, I think, when we sat in the playground and watched all of our children divided into those awful COVID zones, which just broke my heart. And we had to use ropes to congregate children in different zones, which was really, really tricky. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way since last March when we sat in the playground watching the children.
We certainly have. We certainly have. And like, I do remember them saying, like, you know, can you go on the grass? Not if it's wet. Right, I am looking forward to seeing this. I've seen your video and I've seen your presentation, so I don't want to take any more. Oh, I do want to say to everybody, yeah, so Sarah, Hernhill, it's a Church of England primary school. I think one of the things I love is the way that we start every session with a prayer and with a bit of mindfulness, a bit of time to think about what we're doing. And you've got, I think, 2 form entry.
1 form entry.
What? 1 form entry, about 300 children, is that?
No, 200 smaller.
I've got it written down, I just can't see the screen. I've got it
all right, no problem. And we are not Hernhill, South London. We are Hernhill near Faversham, which is very different, very different.
Absolutely. So in Hernhill, like near Faversham, out in the countryside, in the lovely, beautiful Kent countryside, it's you've got a bit of concrete, and then you've got a lovely field, and I think we're going to see some pictures of that in your presentation.
Absolutely, yes. If you can show my first slide, that would be wonderful. Thank you. So we've been on a real journey, and this is a fantastic photograph from the last few weeks, some of our infant children, and we've been on a real journey, actually. If you show my next slide, Kath, you'll be able to see how lucky we are. So this is the view from our Year 1 classroom. You can see our playground, you can see our field. It stops at the trees, it doesn't go all the way into the hills, that's not our grounds. But we've also got one of those wooden trim trails, you know, the ones that cost thousands and thousands of pounds. So we had all this space, but it still didn't mean play was amazing. If you can show my next slide, Kath. Thank you very much. So yes, we're incredibly lucky with space. And we're incredibly lucky, our children are wonderful, but we still have our challenges. We have children who suffered severe trauma. We've got children who with severe ADHD. We've got children with severe autistic spectrum disorder. We've got children with anxiety, and often playtime was the root cause of many, many problems. So what we did, and actually, just as Gregory said, what you do is often born out of either fear or love. And I think it came out of fear. So we then controlled things. We controlled where the children were allowed to play. The field was often out of bounds almost 7 months of the year. If it was too wet, it was too muddy, we couldn't use it, or we chose not to use it. We controlled when they played. It was very weather dependent. We were definitely a fair weather playtime school. If it was a bit too hot, very bright and sunny, again, bring them in, they might get sunburned. If it's a bit wet, bring them in, we don't want them to get too wet. And also what to play. We did the classic, buy them a few bits of equipment, normally balls, tennis balls, foam balls, maybe a couple of rackets. And of course, after 3 or 4 weeks, those balls went missing. We didn't have the budget to replace them, so they ended up with very little, actually. So we were controlling all of these things, and actually the effects of that were massive. It affected the children's creativity, their emotional well-being, their independence and their resilience. And actually it ended up with a real problem. We had lots of behaviour issues, and actually playtime was not a happy place to be, and lots of our children said they didn't really enjoy it. So by joining the OPAL programme, which was really exciting, but it did test my boundaries, I had to really step outside of my comfort zone, but we gave the freedom to the children for those things that we had been controlling. Can I have the next slide, Kath, please? Thank you. So we changed our mindset and actually made a conscious decision that they can choose where they want to play. On the right hand side, you'll see an aerial shot of our school, and we're really lucky. You can see our playground there, you can see our school building. There's a little bit of a grass area, that's now artificial grass, but actually it was one day it was beautiful flower beds, but over the years we couldn't manage to sort it out and deal with it. And then you'll see a patio area around the edge of the building, and for some reason we had a rule that children weren't allowed to play on the patio, so they were allowed to be on the playground. They weren't allowed to use the field, they weren't allowed to use the bit to the left of the building. So we changed our mindset and gave the children the freedom where to play, so they got the choice. And of course, when it comes to fields, our field is a classic school field, terrible quality soil. It's muddy like the Somme in the winter, and it's dry and cracked with enormous fissures in it during the summer. So we had to be dressed appropriately to play. So we let the children choose. So we gave them control over their footwear. We gave everyone welly storage. Example there is outside my year 5 classroom. We did buy some expensive welly storage, but we found actually they weren't particularly effective. The use of a couple of free pallets screwed to the outside of the wall are much more effective. Every class had their own welly storage. Every class has a broom, a tarpaulin, a bucket to sort things out, a welly puller offer. And the children were told, you can put your wellies on whenever you want. If you want to go on the field, you go on the field. And the children have that choice now of where to play, and it makes a huge difference. Next slide, please. Thank you. And when to play. We also made the conscious decision that we would go outside whatever. That has taken a bit of getting used to, making sure that we are all appropriately dressed, the children are appropriately dressed, but we now go outside whether it's too hot, too cold, too wet. And actually you can see some fantastic pictures here. The children in the trees, which of course they didn't used to be allowed to climb, finding themselves some shade. Some of the little infant girls there under the bench, providing themselves with a den. They'd created some shade. And the boys here on the left in year 6, creating this wonderful den to keep them out of the rain. One of the boys even using a chair base as one of his umbrella tools, which was really fantastic. So we went out in all weathers, and it's been amazing this year. Thank you, Kath. And also what to play, giving them the creativity here. We've given them the loose parts that you learn about in Opal Play, and it's been fantastic. And they have the choice. The children can choose. And that freedom has been absolutely fantastic. And we have been blown away by their creativity. It's been really fantastic. Thank you. So, as I've mentioned about creativity, the picture on the left is this incredible boat type yacht that had been created by a group of year 5 and 6 boys using their cable reels and some pallets and some sticks. And they actually got it moving across the playground one afternoon. It was absolutely fantastic. And then my other photograph is almost my favourite part of the school field. It's down the back. It's called the dip, and it's the dip because it actually goes quite low. You can't see it when you're standing on the playground. You can't see to the bottom of the dip. And of course, we used to control that. The children were not allowed down the dip. Whereas now we've said you may go down there, and they have started doing the most amazing things. There are bases there. They are building things. They are digging things. It's been absolutely fantastic. They find goodness knows what in that field. We found bones, we found bits of crockery, we found bits of metal. We've had to set up our own museum in the school corridor now with all their finds, and the number of parents that have said to me that they come home and they find their children have got bits of crockery or pottery in their pockets has been amazing, but really, really creative. It's been wonderful. Next slide, please. And emotional well-being. I mean, I can see, I know these children, they are just so happy. We've had 100% of children now saying they're enjoying playtime. I love the photograph on the left. That's my year 6 girls who are ready to fly off to secondary school, but look at them. They are still enjoying dressing up in a Gruffalo costume that used to be in reception, having the time of their lives. The little boy on the right-hand side who is digging and having a great time. They are absolutely delighted and joyful with what they're doing. Really, really happy. Next slide, please. So independence and resilience has gone up massively. What has been really fantastic, and I didn't believe this would happen until I saw it, but our first aid incidents are down by 25%. Since September, we've had no red card, which is our behaviour system, incidents this academic year. So we've had no serious behaviour incidents, whereas we did have them in previous years, which has been fantastic. And I think one of the biggest and most amazing impact that it's had is on our inclusion and our special needs children. It's been incredible. If you go out into our playground, you wouldn't see children who have particular needs. We had a number of children who needed one-to-one support. We even had a child who needed 1-to-2 support when he was out there. He had to have 2 adults. Actually, now he plays completely independently. He's entirely happy with very, very few issues. So it's absolutely massive in terms of inclusion, and it has made all of our children play brilliantly. It's absolutely fantastic. And the best bit is the last slide that I'm going to show you, is the joy that comes from these children. It's absolutely wonderful. And we've got a video of them down in the dip. There they are. You can see them digging, and there's a little video to show you of what they get up to. But the joy in their eyes of them being able to down there and dig in the dip has been absolutely fantastic. So if you could play that, Kath, that would be brilliant.
Right, I think I'm going to have to do the same as what I did with Greg, and I'm going to play your video. I'm going to stop this share and share a new screen.
Thank you.
If you turn your video off, then they'll everybody will just see these kids.
This gives us loads of freedom to do what we couldn't do before, like build shelters, dig, and it's a lot more fun. Me and Reese and Drew have been digging before. I feel like we're really free because we have our big playground and our field, and we can do whatever we want whenever we want. I think we are totally free because we've got everything that we can play with, like our big fields and our big playgrounds. And we can play with anybody we want. So basically, we wasn't allowed to dig back here.
I just saw, is there no volume on that? Can somebody say, Charlotte's saying there's no sound? You can hear it. So some people it's quiet, you can hear fine. Thank you. Right. I'm gonna go in QuickTime Player. Right. You might need to just put your volume up a little bit. You can hear it, but it's quiet. I don't know how to, for me, it's on the loudest it can get. So I'm just gonna play that again because it's so, I'm gonna carry on, but we'll just listen really quietly and see if you can hear them.
Andrew have been digging before. I feel like we're really free because we have our big playground and our field, and we can do whatever we want whenever we want. I think we are totally free because we've got everything that we can play with, like our big fields and our big playgrounds. And we can play with anybody we want. So basically, we wasn't allowed to dig back here before we wasn't allowed to have Opal come. But now Opal's here, we get to dig all around here, and it's really fun.
Yeah, this gives us so much freedom. Like, that wouldn't have been created if we didn't have freedom. None of this would have been created if we didn't have freedom.
Oh, Sarah, that is, oh. I had to move my webcam to be next to my speaker. It's like this. I'm an Opal mentor. I'm an education consultant. Being and the new Zoom thing means that I've got to be in charge of the looking after the front of house instead of Sarah. And we are. It's my tech Sarah. Sarah, that is just beautiful. That digging at the back.
I know, it's incredible. They have, what they've done in the last year has just been extraordinary. The progress they've made, it's almost been like We've started off in the Stone Age and we've gone all the way through. It's just incredible. And they're just having the best time. And there's all the different year groups together. There was quite a steep learning curve when the children started digging things and then going in for lunch and coming back and finding another child in their digging zone. They got quite protective and we had to have lots of conversations about it's our school and it's our field and we have to share. But actually the development of what we've seen is fantastic. I even had children using the clay that they found in the back of the field there to make sort of bricks. They've made staircases. It's been absolutely incredible and they love that bit of the field. And before then, we didn't even use it.
Oh, I think that's that freedom to play together. I also noticed the girls saying I can play now with, was it a year 1 wanted to play with a year 4?
Yeah, and they can just play with whoever they like. It's wonderful.
That's just brilliant. Sarah, you'll be staying around for the Q&A at the end, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic.